Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Peruvan Saranai. Good evening, Venerable Mahāsangha, Salis and brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we are going to continue on the mātikā, which we commenced on last week, the Kusala tika. Now, before we start, I just want to mention that I can't stress enough the importance of learning these mātikā, because the mātikā are basically the basis of the patthāna prakaraṇa, as well as certain areas of the next pitaka, the Anga prakaraṇa, the Yamaka prakaraṇa. Okay, so today we'll be refreshing our memories on the Kusala tika. So last time we discussed about Kusala Dhamma and Akusala Dhamma. So the Kusala tika comprises of 3 terms. The Kusala Dhamma states that are wholesome, Akusala Dhamma states that are unwholesome, and Abhyakata Dhamma states that are indeterminate. Yes, so last week we spoke about Kusala Dhamma, the wholesome states. They are the 21 wholesome consciousness, Kusala Chitta, which are the 8 Kamavachara, the sense sphere Chitta, the 5 Rupavachara, fine material sphere, the 4 Arupavachara, immaterial sphere, and the 4 Lokuttara, supramundane sphere Chittas. That's how you get the 21 wholesome consciousness. And as you know, consciousness does not arise on their own. They arise together with mental factors, the Cetasika. So what are the Cetasika that can arise with these 21 consciousness? They are the 38 mental factors that are mentioned here. The 13 Anya Samana Cetasika, or ethically variable mental factors, and the 25 beautiful mental factors, the Sobhana Cetasika. Next comes the Akusala Dhamma, unwholesome states. Here we get the 12 Akusala Chitta, the 12 unwholesome consciousness, which are the 8 Lobha Chitta, greed-rooted Chitta, 2 Dosa Chitta, the 2 hatred-rooted Chitta, and the 2 Moha Chitta, 2 delusion-rooted Chitta. And these arise together with 27 mental factors. They are the 13 Anya Samana Cetasika, ethically variable factors, and the 14 Akusala Cetasika, the unwholesome factors. Now we move on to the new term of today's lesson, that is Abhyakata Dhamma. Abhyakata means indeterminate or undeclared. Undeclared in the sense that they are neither declared as wholesome nor unwholesome. Nabhyakatati abhyakata, kusala bhavena akatitati atto. So, abhyakata simply means that they are neither wholesome nor unwholesome. And these unmoral or these indeterminate states have the characteristic of no results. They have no results. Avipaka lakkana abhyakata. Now let's look at the Nikkepa description of Abhyakata Dhamma. So it starts with the question, which are the states that are indeterminate? Katame Dhamma Abhyakata. Kusala Kusalanam Dhammanam Vipaka. The results of wholesome and unwholesome states taking effect in the Kamavachara sense sphere, Rupavachara fine material sphere, Arupavachara immaterial sphere, and Apariyapanna, the unincluded or the supramundane sphere. And what are they? They are the aggregates of feeling. Vedana Khandu, perception, Sanya Khandu, mental formations, Sankhara Khandu, and consciousness, Vijnana Khandu. So here basically they're talking about the first type of Abhyakata Dhamma, which are the Vipaka Chitta and Cetasika. So the Vipaka Chitta and Cetasika belongs to the 4 planes of existence, which are the Kāmāvachara, Rūpāvachara, Arūpāvachara, and Apariyapanna, or the Lokuttara Bhumi. That is what's mentioned in the first sentence. The next sentence talks about what is considered as these vipaka. They are the four aggregates: the Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, and Vijnana. So they are the nama kanda, or the mental aggregates. Next is Yecha Dhamma Kiriya Neva Kusala Na Kusala Nacha Kamma Vipaka. These are the functional states, which are neither wholesome nor unwholesome, nor the results of karma. So those are the kriya, chitta, and chetasika, the kriya, consciousness, and mental factors. Next, all material form, sabbancha rupa, and unconditioned element, asankatacha dhatu. What is this asankata dhatu? It is nibbana. And finally, the answer is given. These are the states that are indeterminate. Ime dhamma abhyakata. The Atthakatha Khandam description of the Abhyakata Dhamma. Which are the states that are indeterminate? Again, it starts with the question, Katame Dhamma Abhyakata. Chatusu Bhumisu Vipako, the results in the four planes of existence. Now, if you recall, in the previous one, the four planes of existence were given separately as Kāmāvachara, Rūpāvachara, Arūpāvachara, and Apariyapanna. Here it is condensed as and given as four planes of existence. Next is mentioned Thisu Bhumisu. Those are the three planes. Kiriya Vyakata, the functionals in the three planes of existence. Now, in the previous, the Nikkepa Khanda, the planes were not mentioned, but here, for better understanding, it's given as Thisu Bhumisu, or the three planes of existence. And all material forms, Rupancha and Nibbanancha. In the Nikkepa Khanda, it's given as Asankata Dhatu, but here it's given as Nibbana. Ime Dhamma Abhyakata. These are the states that are indeterminate. Right. Now, in this diagram, we have given the breakdown of the 89 chitta, the consciousness. And they're broken down into the four bhumis, or the spheres. So on the far left, we have the Kāmāvachara, the sense sphere, and then the Rūpāvachara, Arūpāvachara, and Lokuttara. Now, what I have given in gray are the Vipaka Chitta, and given in purple are the Kriya Chitta. Now, as you can see, the Vipaka Chitta belongs to the four planes, Kāmāvachara, Rūpāvachara, Arūpāvachara, and Lokuttara, whereas the Kriya Chitta belongs only to the three planes. That is the Kāmāvachara, Rūpāvachara, and Arūpāvachara. There aren't any Lokuttara Kriya Chitta. So that is why it was called Thisu Bhumisu Kiriya. So in summary, what we get as indeterminate states, or Abhyakata Dhamma, are the 36 resultant, the Vipaka Chitta, the 20 functional, Kriya Chitta, and the 38 mental factors, Chetasika, that arise together with these two different types of consciousness, the 28 Rupa matter, and Nibbana, the state of final deliverance. Now, this is an important table that we have here. So what we have given here is the different types of chitta are mentioned in the first column, and against which we have mentioned virati and appamanya. So what this table describes is where or when we can expect to see virati and appamanya arising together with what types of consciousness. So first, we will be looking at the Kāmāvachara Sobhana Chitta. And out of them, the first group are the wholesome, the kusala, the 8 Maha Kusala Chitta. So here in this, you may see virati or appamanya. Now, the 3 virati and the 2 appamanya, illimitables, you must remember that these do not rise together, all of these. You will never see all 5 of these chetasika or mental factors arising together in the same consciousness. What you will see is 1 out of these 5. Now, I will give you a simple example. If you have, let's say, a person is abstaining from stealing. So that is, if you take stealing, how can you steal? It's usually a physical action. So there the person is abstaining from stealing would be Samma Kammanta. Now, when Samma Kammanta arises, we are not abstaining from the other 2, which are Samma Vacha and Samma Ajiva. And at the same time, we are not developing Karuna or Mudita, which is compassion and appreciative joy. So at any given moment, what you can have is 1 out of these 5 mental factors, the 3 virati and the 2 appamanya, or none at all. Next comes the vipaka. Now, when it comes to this kamavachara, mahavipaka, you don't see any virati or appamanya arising with them. They are not actively produced or actively developed consciousness. Next comes the Mahakriya, the sense sphere, the Kamavachara, 8 Kriya Chitta. Now here, you may see appamanya, however, you will not see any virati. Now let's see why. First, you must know what kind of individuals generate these 8 Mahakriya Chitta. They are the Arahants. So Arahants are individuals who have completely destroyed all the fetters. Therefore, they will not generate any akusala dhamma, any unwholesome consciousness. So if they do not generate any unwholesome consciousness, then there is no need to abstain from anything. Their basal level, or because they do not generate any unwholesome consciousness, there is no requirement to generate any virati. That is why there are no virati arising together with these 8 Kriya Chitta. But the appamanya may or may not arise. So it depends on what kind of consciousness that they are having at that particular time. So for instance, if they see someone who is in pain, who is suffering, then they may have the chetasika of compassion, karuna. So likewise, you will not see both of these appamanya arising, but only 1 at a given time, either 1 or none at all. Next, we come to the Rupavachara and Arupavachara, the fine material sphere and the immaterial sphere. We'll look at all 3, the Kusala, Vipaka, and Kriya. Now, if you think of these consciousness, both the Rupavachara and Arupavachara, they have a specific object that they concentrate on. And at this particular moment where these jhanas are being generated, there is no abstinence or virati being arising. Therefore, you don't see any virati arising together with these Rupavachara and Arupavachara consciousness. However, when it comes to the appamanya, they may be present in certain Rupavachara Chitta. Now, what are the types of Rupavachara Chitta that you can have appamanya? Are the mudita and the karuna jhanas. So if a certain person is developing a mudita jhana or a karuna jhana, then in that particular consciousness, there will be appamanya chetasika. Again, only one arising together with a given chitta. Finally, we look at the Lokuttara, the supramundane chitta, the Magga and the Phala. Here we see all three virati arising together because these three are part of the eightfold path. So the Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, and Samma Ajiva, all three of these arise together in the as path factors. However, Appamanya do not arise in the supramundane, the Lokuttara chittas. Now, in this slide, we have a list of things that are not obtained in this triplet. The three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta, the three concepts, nama, kasina, satta, paññātiyo, space obtained by separating the devices, open space, object of nothingness, and attainment of cessation. Now, if you look closely at these, anicca, dukkha, things like anicca, dukkha, anatta, they are the objects of vipassana meditation. So one may think because during vipassana meditation, what happens is we generate kusala chitta. And if these are objects of those kusala chitta, one may think that these also may be part of this triplet. However, none of these things belong to the four ultimate realities. Therefore, these are not included under any of the triplets, not only the kusala tika, but they are not included in any of the triplets or couplets, simply because they are not ultimate realities. And if you look at the next example, the three concepts, I'll take one as an example, kasina. Kasina are the object of certain rupavachara, fine material sphere, jhana. And these are also not ultimate realities, but they are concepts of paññāti. So likewise, all of these are not ultimate realities. Therefore, they are not included in the kusala tika or any of the other triplets or couplets. Now we move on to a new section, and this is called Sabbattika mātikā. So Sabbattika means Sabba and Attika. It comprises of two words, Sabba and Attika. It simply means all inclusive. And what does it include? It includes all the ultimate realities, which are the 89 chitta, consciousness, 52 cetasika, mental factors, 28 rupa, matter, and the state of final deliverance, nibbana. Now, the reason why we are talking about this Sabbattika mātikā is in order to learn how to categorize these ultimate realities under different categories, such as aggregates, bases, elements, and noble truths. Now, references for this mātikā cannot be traced to any of the commentaries or the sub-commentaries because it is simply a method that has been developed and utilized by generations of bhikkhus as a means of teaching the students how to categorize the ultimate realities into those various categories. Now we will go into an exercise. And here what we need to do is to categorize the components of this Sabbattika mātikā, which are all the ultimate realities according to the kanda, aggregates, ayatana, bases, dhatu, elements, and Arya Satya, the noble truths. Now you may be wondering why we are doing this. Now the importance is basically the ability to divide these mātikā or the terms of each of these mātikā into these aggregate spaces and so on is important when it comes to studying the next pakaraṇas, particularly the Vibhanga prakarana, Dhatu Kata prakarana, Yamaka prakarana, as well as the Patthāna prakarana. So it is in order to get that experience in it one must be very familiar with these. Therefore, that is why we are talking about these. So first we will look at the 5 aggregates or the Panchakanda. We first have Rupa Kando, which comprises of material, Vedana Kando, the feeling aggregate, Sanya Kando, perception aggregate, and Sankhara Kando, mental formations. And finally, we have Vijnana Kando, the consciousness aggregate. Now, if we are to divide the ultimate realities into these 5 aggregates, you will see that the 28 matter are classified under Rupa Kanda or materiality aggregate. The feeling mental factor, which is one out of the 52 mental factors, are classified under Vedana Kando. The perception mental factor, which is again another individual mental factor or Chetasika belonging to the 52 mental factors, is classified under Sanya Kando, perception aggregate. And finally, we have the Sankhara Kando, the mental formations aggregate, where we see the remaining 50 mental factors. That is 52 minus feeling minus perception. 52 minus 2 is 50. And lastly, we have Vijnana Kando, the 89 consciousness. Now, you may be wondering what happened to Nibbana. Nibbana is not classified under the Panchakanda. It is not included simply because it is not Sankhata, or it is not something that is formed. All these aggregates are things that are formed, whereas Nibbana is not. It is not included. Therefore, we mention separately that Nibbana is not included under the Panchakanda. We will now look at the next category, which are the 12 sense bases or the Ayatana. There are 12 bases. The first 5, Chakkayatanam, Sotayatanam, Ganayatanam, Jivahayatanam, and Kayayatanam. And then from 7 to 11, Rupayatanam, Sabdayatanam, Gandhayatanam, Rasayatanam, and Pottabhayatanam. These 10 bases are all Rupa or material bases. Manayatana comprises of consciousness only. And Dhammayatana, the mental object base, is a mixed ayatana, which comprises of mental factors, certain types of Rupa, materiality, and Nibbana. So those are the 12 sense bases. Now we will look at how these ultimate realities are classified under the 12 bases. So as I mentioned before, the first 5, the eye sensitivity, ear, nose, tongue, and body sensitivity. Those are the 5 pasada rupa or the sensitivity matter. And then from 7 to 11, we have the objects for those 5 sensitivity or the 5 doors. So the 7th one, Rupayatana, is visible form, followed by sound, smell, taste. Number 11, Pottabhayatana, is tangibility. Now here we have 3 types of Rupa coming under this category. They are Patavi, earth, Tejo, fire, Vayu, wind. So all together, if you count the number of matter that you get from these ayatana 1 to 5 and 7 to 11 are 12 matter. So 1 to 5 we have 5, and then from Rupayatana, Saddayatana, Gandhayatana, Rasayana, there are 4. That's 9 in total, plus another 3, Patavi, Tejo, Vayu. Altogether, there are 12 matter. These are also called Odarika Rupa, or they are gross material. Next, we have Manayatana, where we have classified all the consciousness under that base, the 89 consciousness. And finally, the 12th one is Dhammayatana, where we classify the 52 mental factors, Nibbana, and the remaining material. Now, I said that first we got, under the first 10 Rupa Ayatana, we got 12 material or 12 Rupa. So out of 28, when you take away those 12 Rupa, we are left with 16 material. These are called Sukuma Rupa or subtle material. So these are classified under Dhammayatana. Therefore, under Dhammayatana, we get 52 Chetasika, 16 Sukuma Rupa, and Nibbana. We will now look at the 18 elements or Atthārasa Dhātu, the Dhātu. Here, if we compare the elements with the bases or the Ayatana, there is an increase in the number from 12 to 18. Now, if we compare the two, if you look at the first 10 Dhātu, which starts from Chakku Dhātu and ends at Pottabba Dhātu. These are similar to what we found in the under the Ayatana or the bases. They're exactly the same. And the ultimate realities that are included under these 10 are exactly the same as what we saw in the Ayatana. And also the last one, the Dhamma Dhātu, is similar to Dhammayatana. What differs here is from 11 to 17. Now, under Ayatana, we classified the 89 consciousness or the 89 chittas under the mind base or Manayatana. Here, what has been done is that the Manayatana, the 89 consciousness, has been divided into 7 dhatu. First, we have the Chakku Vijnana Dhatu, the eye consciousness element. Then we have the ear consciousness element, the Sota Vijnana Dhatu, Gana Vijnana Dhatu, nose consciousness, Jivha Vijnana Dhatu, tongue consciousness, Kaya Vijnana Dhatu, body consciousness, and Mano Dhatu, mind element. Finally, Mano Vijnana Dhatu, mind consciousness element. So basically what happened, the difference between the Ayatana and the Dhatu is that the Manayatana is further subdivided into 7 different Dhatu. Now let's look at the ultimate realities that are classified under each of these Dhatu. We will first take the first 10 Dhatu, which are all Rupa Dhatu or material elements. The eye element, the Chakku Pasada Rupa or eye sensitivity. Then we have the Sota Dhatu, the ear sensitivity, Gana Dhatu, nose sensitivity, Jivha Dhatu, the tongue sensitivity, Kaya Dhatu, body sensitivity. And the objects to these 5 sensitivities are the next 5 Dhatu. Rupa Dhatu is visible form, Saddha Dhatu is sound, Gandha Dhatu is smell, Rasa Dhatu taste, and Pottabba Dhatu has 3 separate matter included here, which are earth, Patavi, Tejo, fire, and Vayu, wind. Together, we get 12 gross material or Olarika Rupa. We will now look at the remaining 8 elements. So the first 7 mentioned here from Chakku Vijnana Dhatu until Mano Vijnana Dhatu are all Vijnana Dhatu, or they are all consciousness. So under Ayatana, we classify the 89 consciousness under the mind base or the Manayatana. So here those 89 consciousness are divided into 8 different Dhatu, 7 different Dhatu, 7 elements. The first is the eye consciousness element or the Chakku Vijnana Dhatu. And here we get 2 eye consciousness chitta. And if you recall, these 2 eye consciousness chitta are from the 18 rootless chittas in the Kamavachara or the sense sphere plane. One is a Akusala Vipaka, the other one is a Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta. That's how you get the 2 eye consciousness chitta. Next is the ear consciousness element, and here we get the 2 ear consciousness. chitta. Similarly, one from the akusala vipaka and one from the ahetuka kusala vipaka. Likewise, we get two nose consciousness coming under Gana Vijnana Dhatu, two tongue consciousness coming under Jibha Vijnana Dhatu, and two body consciousness coming under Kaya Vijnana Dhatu. And the total number of chittas here are 10. We next get the Mano Dhatu, the mind element, where we have 3 different consciousness classified under this category. They are the two receiving consciousness, or the two Sampatichana Chitta. Again, if you recall, where are they from? They are from the rootless chittas. Again, one from the Akusala Vipaka Chitta and one from the Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta. So that's how you get those two receiving consciousness. And the Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta, which is the 5 sense door adverting consciousness. It is a Ahetuka Kriya Chitta. So altogether, from the first 5, we had 10 consciousness, and Mano Dhatu had 3 consciousness, and that is a total of 13 consciousness. So out of the 89 consciousness, when you deduct these 13, we are left with 76 consciousness. These remaining 76 consciousness are classified under the mind consciousness element, or the Mano Vijnana Dhatu. Finally, we have the Dhamma Dhatu, the mental object element, which has all the remaining ultimate realities, which are the 52 Chetasika mental factors, the 16 Sukuma Rupa, or subtle material, and Nibbana. Finally, we look at the Chattari Arya Satchani, or the 4 noble truths. The first being Dukkhang Arya Satchang, the noble truth of suffering. This is also called Dukkha Satcha. And then we have Dukkha Samudayang Arya Satchang, the noble truth of the origin of suffering, also called Samudaya Satcha. Thirdly, we have Dukkha Nirodhang Arya Satchang, the noble truth of cessation of suffering, also called Nirodha Satcha. And finally, we have Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Arya Satchang, the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. And this is also called Magga Satcha. Now, we will look at these 4 noble truths and look at them in terms of mundane and supramundane ultimate realities. So basically the first 2, that is the Dukkhang Arya Satchang, the noble truth of suffering, and the Dukkha Samudayang Arya Satchang, the noble truth of origin of suffering, are both mundane. So whatever ultimate realities that are classified under these 2 Arya Satcha are mundane. And then the third and the fourth, the Dukkha Nirodhang Arya Satcha and the Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Arya Satcha, these 2 are supramundane. So whatever ultimate realities that are classified under the third and the fourth Arya Satcha are supramundane. Now let's see what are the mundane ultimate realities and what are the supramundane ultimate realities. So basically what we are doing here is we are taking the 4 different ultimate realities and we are categorizing them under these 2 groups, mundane and supramundane. So we know that there are 8 Lokuttara Chitta, or 8 supramundane consciousness. Therefore, if you take away this 8 from the 89 Chitta, 89 minus 8, we are left with 81 Chittas. And these are all mundane consciousness belonging to the Kamavachara, Rupavachara, and Arupavachara spheres. And as you all know, Chitta do not arise on its own. It arises with mental factors, or Chetasika. So together with these 81 Lokiya Chitta, or mundane consciousness arises 52 Cetasika. So what are these 52? We have 13 Anyasamana Cetasika, the ethically variable mental factors. We have 14 unwholesome or akusala Cetasika and 25 beautiful sobana Cetasika. And there are 28 matter or rupa, which again is mundane. Now, if you look at the supramundane side, we have the 8 supramundane consciousness, the 8 lokuttara chitta, and together with them arises 36 Cetasika. Now, you might be wondering why there is 52 on the mundane side and why is that only 36 on the supramundane side. So remember that all the supramundane consciousness do not include any akusala. Therefore, you will not see any akusala Cetasika there. So therefore, out of the 52, the 27 akusala Cetasika are not included here. Also, the 2 apamanya or the 2 illimitables are also not included here. So finally, we are left with 13 Anyasamana and 23 beautiful or sobana Cetasika. That's how we get the 36 mental factors. And finally, we have Nibbana, which is again a supramundane ultimate reality. Now we will look at the 4 noble truths and see how the 4 different ultimate realities are classified under each of these. Now, as I mentioned before, the first 2 are all mundane Arya Satyas. So we'll take the second one first, the Dukkha Samudaya Arya Satya, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. Here we get the Lobha Cetasika or the greed mental factor. And what is classified under Dukkha Arya Satya, the noble truth of suffering, is everything else remaining under the mundane ultimate realities, which are the 81 mundane consciousness, the Lokiya Chitta, the 51 Cetasika. Now, I said that Lobha was categorized under the noble truth of the origin of suffering, Dukkha Samudaya Arya Satya. Therefore, 52 minus Lobha Cetasika leaves us with 51 Cetasika. Next is the 28 Rupa matter. So those are the first 2 Arya Satya. They are all mundane. Next comes the supramundane Arya Satya. So the third one is Dukkha Nirodhaṃ Arya Satya, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. Here, Nibbana is classified under this Arya Satya. And finally, we have the Dukkha Nirodhagamini Patipada Arya Satya, the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. It's also called the Magga Satya. So here what we get is 8 or 7 constituents of the path. The path meaning right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, which occur in the Sotapanna path consciousness, the Sakadagami path consciousness, the Anagami path consciousness, and Arahatta path consciousness. Now, we will be describing this further in the next couple of slides, but I will briefly mention this now. And you may see that not all ultimate realities are classified under the Arya Satya. There are still some remaining ultimate realities. Those are termed as outside the scope of noble truths because they cannot be classified under any of these 4 categories. These are the 29 Chittupada, risings of consciousness that occur in the Magga Chitta or the path consciousness, and 37 Chittupada, risings of consciousness occurring in the Phala of fruition consciousness. We will explain this further in the next few slides. Yes, now to explain the third and fourth noble truths, we will first look at the Lokuttara Chittupada, or the supramundane states of consciousness. We have 8 Lokuttara Chitta, or supramundane consciousness, which are the 4 Lokuttara Magga, or the supramundane path consciousness, and the 4 Phala Chitta, the supramundane fruition consciousness. And together with these consciousness arises 36 Chetasika, 36 mental factors. These are the 13 Anyasamana Chetasika, the ethically variable mental factors, and 23 out of the 25 beautiful or Sobana Chetasika. This is because the 2 Appamanya, illimitables, are not included here. So you get only 36 mental factors arising together with these 8 Lokuttara Chitta. Now, before we look at what the 8 and 7 factors that we were talking about before under the 2 Arya Satya, we need to know, or we need to refresh our memories regarding this jhana. Now, there are 2 systems of classifying jhana based on the individual's faculties. So if an individual has average faculties, it would be the 5 jhana system. But if the individual has keen faculties or sharp faculties, then it will be the 4 jhana system. So basically, what we have described here are the different jhana factors that are classified under the 5 jhanas and the 4 jhanas, depending on which jhana system we are talking about. So vitakko means initial application, vichara is sustained application, piti, zest, sukha, happiness, ekaggata, one-pointedness, and under the 5th jhana we have upekka, equanimity. These are all mental factors. Now, what is meant by this, a person having average faculties or a person having keen faculties? So it's basically how developed one's intellect is. So if a person has very sharp or keen faculties, that person doesn't need to go through all of these 5 steps. They can reach the highest jhana in simply 4 steps. So if you compare these 2 jhana systems, the difference between the 5 jhana system and the 4 jhana system is that if you look at the 2nd jhana of the 5 jhana system, vitakka is eliminated. There's no vitakka. Instead, there's vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. And on the 3rd jhana, we have vitakka and vichara eliminated, and we are left with piti, sukha, ekaggata. Instead of going through both of these steps, the person with keen faculties will jump straight from the first, that's vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, straight on to piti, sukha, ekaggata, without eliminating them, the vitakka and vichara one by one. So that is the difference. Now, you must remember that these subdivisions of the jhanas apply only to Rupavachara and Lokuttara Chitta, the fine material sphere, and the supramundane sphere consciousness, because all Arupavachara Chitta are Upekka, Ekaggata, Chittani. They are 5th jhana according to the 5 jhana system, or they are 4th jhana according to the 4 jhana system. So there is no subdivision when it comes to the Arupavachara Chitta. Now we will look at the 8 path factors, the 8 Maggaṅgaṇī, and we will correlate them to the jhananga, or the jhana factors. First, we have Sammaditthi, right view, which is the Chetasika of non-delusion, amoha. Next, we have Samma Sankappo, right thought, which is also Vitakka Chetasika, initial application. Samma Vacha, right speech, Samma Kammanta, right action, and Samma Ajivo, right livelihood. These 3 are the 3 virati, or abstinences. Samma Vayamo, right effort, is the virya, or effort mental factor. Samma sati is the right mindfulness, or sati cetasika, mindfulness mental factor. And finally, we have samma samadhi, right concentration, which is the ekaggata, one-pointedness mental factor. Now, the two which I have highlighted in red, samma sankappo and samma samadhi, are not only path factors, they're not only mātikā, but they are also jnananga, or jhana factors, which are vitakka and ekaggata. So now putting the two systems together, the lokuttara citta, the mātikā, or the path factors, and the jhana factors, taking them together, let's look at the 5 jhana system. So under the first jhana, we get vitakka, which is also samma sankappo, vicharo, priti, sukha, and ekaggata. Ekaggata is samma samadhi. And the second jhana, vitakka, is eliminated. So basically, samma sankappa is not present in the second jhana. And instead, we are left with vichara, priti, sukha, and ekaggata. So samma samadhi is still there. Under the third jhana, vitakka and vichara is eliminated. So here, if you consider the mātikā, the path factors, only samma sankappa is not there. The remaining 7 mātikā path factors are included. Moving on to the fourth jhana, vitakka, vichara, priti is eliminated. Again, only samma sankappa is not included here. And finally, the fifth jhana, vitakka, vichara, priti is eliminated. And under the fourth jhana, we had sukha and ekaggata. So what happens in the fifth jhana is, instead of sukha, which is the feeling mental factor, it's converted into upekkha, which is equanimity. So basically, if you look at these 5 jhana and you consider the path factors, in the first jhana, we get all 8 path factors. But from the second to the 5th jhanas, we don't have samma sankappo. Therefore, only 7 path factors are included from the second to the 5th jhanas. So here in this table is given the 5 jhanas and the jnananga, or the jhana factors, together with what path factors are included and what are not. And then we have the 2 columns, the number of mental factors that arise together with each of these jhanas, and finally the number of path factors. So as you know, in the first jhana, we get all 5 jhana factors. Therefore, we get a total number of 36 cetasika and a total of 8 path factors coming under the first jhana. But when we move on to the second jhana, because vitakka is eliminated, we are left with 1 less mental factor. Therefore, there's only 35. And because vitakko is samma sankappo, and that is taken out, we are left with only 7 path factors. And then when we come to the third jhana, 2 mental factors are eliminated, vitakko and vicharo. Therefore, out of 36, when you deduct these 2 mental factors, we are left with 34 cetasika. And because only samma sankappa is eliminated as a path factor, we are still left with 7 path factors in total. For the fourth jhana, 3 mental factors are eliminated, vitakka, vichara, and priti. So 36 minus 3, we are left with 33 mental factors. And again, because priti is not a path factor, we are again left with 7 path factors excluding samma sankappo. And finally, the fifth jhana, which is upekkha ekaggata, the number is the same as the fourth jhana, because the only difference from the fourth to the fifth jhana is that sukha vedana has changed into upekkha vedana. So it is just a change in the type of feeling. So there is no difference, there's no change to the number of chetasika, and there's no change to the number of path factors. And that is how we get 8 path factors or 7 path factors according to the 5 jhanas. So now let's categorize the Lokuttara Chitta according to the 5 jhana system. Now we mentioned that there are 4 Magga Chitta and 4 Phala Chitta. These are the stream entry, Sotapanna, once returner, Sakadagami, non-returner, Anagami, and Arahantship, Arahatta Chittas. And you get the same for Magga and Phala. But when you classify these under the jhana, instead of 8 consciousness, we get a total of 40 consciousness. And how we get them are the stream entry, Magga Chittani. You get them as first, second, third, fourth, and fifth jhana. So you get a total number of 5. Likewise, for the once returner path consciousness, you get 5. Non-returner path consciousness, you get another 5. And finally, the Arahatta path consciousness, you get 5. So altogether, we have 20 path consciousness. Similarly, when you classify these 4 Phala Chittani according to the 5 jhanas, you get a total of 20 Chitta. And that is how we get these 40 Chitta. So in summary, basically, there are 2 ways of classifying the Lokuttara Chitta. One is simply without considering the jhana. And in that method, we get 8 Lokuttara or supramundane consciousness. But if we consider the 5 jhana system, we get a total of 40 Lokuttara Chitta. So this is how we get the 4th noble truth, the noble truth of the path leading to cessation of suffering. So there it was mentioned 8 or 7 constituents of the path occurring in Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahatta path consciousness. So when we say 7 constituents, it means excluding Samma Sankappa, as we described before. Next, we spoke about something called outside the scope of the noble truths. It simply means that there are certain ultimate realities which are not classified under the noble truths. And these are what we call outside the scope of the noble truths, or basically they are not included under the noble truths. These are the 29 Chittupada, or risings of consciousness occurring in the Magga Chitta path consciousness, or the 37 Chittupada, risings of consciousness occurring in the Phala Chitta, fruition consciousness. So now again, let's look at the supramundane states of consciousness. We have the 4 Magga Chitta, and together with them arises 36 mental factors or Chetasika. Out of these 36, 8 are path factors. Those are the Samma Ditti up to Samma Sankappa, which we have given in the box below. So once we take out these 8 path factors from these 36, we are left with 28 remaining factors. So let's keep those 2 in 2 separate groups. And the Lokuttara Phala Chitta, there are 4, and together with them arises 36 Chetasika, mental factors. Now, we will look at these, what we spoke of in the previous slide, in relation to what is outside the scope of the noble truths. Now, as we mentioned before, out of the 36 Chetasika that arises together with the Magga Chitta, there are 8 path factors. That is what's given in bold here. This comprises of the 4th noble truth. Everything else, the 4 Lokuttara Magga Chitta and the remaining 28 mental factors, the 4 lokuttara palachitta, and the 36 mental factors that arises together with these palachitta are all outside the scope of the Noble Truths. So, summarizing what we were talking about before, we said that there are 29 Chittupada, risings of consciousness, that occur in the Magga Chitta. And how we get this 29, this number 29 is, Magga Chitta is taken as 1, and out of the 36 Chetasika that arises together with this Magga Chitta, the 8 path factors are deducted. So 36 minus 8 is 28. So taking the Magga Chitta as 1, 28 plus 1, we get 29 risings of consciousness. And how we get the 37 Chittupada occurring in the Palachitta is, we take Palachitta, the consciousness, as 1, and we add that to the 36 mental factors. So 36 plus 1 is 37 Chittupada. So now I would like to leave an exercise for you to do at home. And this is to categorize the components of the Kusala tika according to Kanda, aggregates, Ayatana, bases, Dhatu, elements, and the Arya Satya Noble Truth. So basically what you need to do is take one term at a time. So take Kusala Dhamma and then divide the Kusala Dhamma, the components of the Kusala Dhamma, into these 4 categories. Likewise, you take Akusala Dhamma, divide the ultimate realities that are classified under that term into these 4 categories, and finally do the same for Abhyakata Dhamma. So unfortunately, we don't have much time to take any questions, but we may, I think, take 1 or 2 questions if there are any. All right. You can also email your questions to the given email address here, or you can join the WhatsApp group and post your questions in that as well. So the next lesson will be on the 14th of April. And it is time to share merits. Atthasālinī Chibummattha Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Sasanam Chiran Rakkantu Desanam Chiran Rakkantu Mamparam. Idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātiyo. Idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātiyo. Idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātiyo. Idam me punyang asavakya vaham hotu. Idam me punyang nibbānasa paccaya hotu. Mama punya bhagam sabba sattanam bhajemi. Te sabbe me samam punya bhagam labantu. Atthasālinī chiran tiktatu. Atthasālinī chiran tiktatu. Atthasālinī chiran tiktatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you. Sadhu,
Thank you,
sadhu.
Doctor.
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, translator.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Teacher, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.